All right, so for section 7.2, we're going to be talking about length, area, and volume. So for this one here, we're going to, y'all can still see me, right? Thumbs up. Okay, good. So we're going to determine which metric length of metric unit of length you will use to express the following. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to see if we understand what we will use millimeters for, centimeters for, meters, and kilometers. So if you want to just abbreviate, you can just put MM in the chat box, CM, M, or KM. So I'm gonna put some pictures up here and you let me know which one you think actually will go to what you actually will measure with. So let's start off with, now think about this is a helicopter and we're trying to measure this little circle on the bottom. So what measurement you think we're going to be using? So Justin says meters for some answers. We got meters. So I'm thinking everybody, the majority of people that's already here, and I know some of y'all still answering, we're either going with kilometers or meters. So this one here actually be meters. So the kind of reason why it won't be kilometers, have you ever been driving to like another state or something and they'll have kilometers or it'll have the mileage on there? Have you ever seen that before? Thumbs up if you have. Um, Usually if you say kilometers, we're talking about miles of distance. So if we're trying to just to measure just this circle down here, I don't think that circle is a mile long, at least a mile long. So that's why we're not going to use kilometers. In that case, we use meters. So a meter, or think about just using a yardstick to measure from end to end of on that circle. What about a little necklace? So we're back and forth as far as centimeters and millimeters for this one, it seems like. Keep putting that question mark there. Stop putting the question mark. The question mark is only for if you don't know exactly what the answer is. Don't know all y'all guessing. Okay. So for this one here, yes, it's either millimeters or centimeters. We don't know how cheap our boyfriends or husbands are. So it can be really, really tiny as far as millimeters, or it can be really big and you give them a big hug and all that kind of stuff. So those two goes in hand as far as what is measured for in this one. What about a building? So we got a lot of kilometers on this one for this answer. This one again is still meters. Why do we say this is meters again? I think Corey got this one. Why do we say this is just meters? Because remember, kilometers is what we're talking about driving a whole distance. If I took my car and go up the side of this building, I'll be there in no time. There's no reason for us to say let's measure in kilometers. Does that make sense? So if I need my car to measure something, then we're going to say this is kilometers. If I don't need my car, we're going to say it's meters. So now I'm traveling from Florida to New York. Now I think everybody going to get this one right, right? This one here will be the kilometers because we're actually traveling for a long time for this one. We're not going to use a yardstick to measure from Florida all the way to New York. Same thing. We're going to go into this time. I actually do some more problems here, just some more examples. So this is a marathon. I don't know if any of y'all ran a marathon. This guy looks like he's tired from running a marathon. So based on the picture of this guy, we can probably say the marathon is really, really long. So what we'll use for marathon? Good. A lot of y'all putting kilometers, which is great. So we'll be kilometers for that one. What about if I want to measure Shaq and or Yao Ming. What do you think I'm going to use? Please don't say your car because it's not kilometers. They ain't that big. What y'all put centimeters? I think y'all must have admit how tall Yao Ming is or Shaq is. That's going to be meters. Why is it meters? Have y'all ever seen a yardstick before? The length of a yardstick? I know it's probably hard to see it in the camera what I'm doing, but if you take a yardstick and measure them, I'm pretty sure you're going to have to put it up at least 3 or 4 times to measure them. And if you're talking about centimeters, isn't the centimeters on a little ruler? So think about you trying to measure Shaq or Shaquille that's 7 foot. Both well, I think y'all mean is 7'6", and Shaq is about 7'3" or 7'4", something like that. Taking that little yardstick and putting it up there. So this one will actually be meters. So once again, I wanted us to make sure we get a good grasp of this because I hate for you to get these problems wrong on the test. So understanding the difference between each one of them, having an understanding. So if I want to measure a dime, what will we use? So we're back and forth with centimeters and millimeters. So this one will be millimeters. A dime is a lot smaller. It's probably the smallest coin that we have. I think a dime is smaller than even than a penny. I'm thinking, right? It's definitely smaller than a nickel and a quarter. So a dime is really the smallest one. So we're going to use millimeters to actually measure this one. But if you did put centimeters on the test, I would not mark. I would probably give you credit for both. What about your math book? What would we measure your math book in? Good. This looks a little better. So we got some centimeters going here. I don't know if you know this term, if you ever heard of this term, hectare. Have y'all ever heard of that term before? Measuring the no. Now, not too many of us use hectare, but if anybody says a hectare, it's about 2.5 acres. So if the problem asks you to what if you measure this landscape of lawn, would you measure it in hectares? The answer would be yes, because 2.5 acres is equivalent to 1 hectare. So we're going down to area. So this is square kilometers, square meters, hectares, which means area again, like acres of air land, square centimeters and square millimeters. So if I want to measure the Grand Canyon, I don't know if any of y'all been. I still want to go and see it, but how would you measure the Grand Canyon? So we got some hectares in there. So this would actually be hectares or square kilometers. I'm assuming that if there was a pathway or a road to use my car, that kilometers is square kilometers is going to be one of the reasons why I can use square kilometers. And hectares, obviously, again, being a large acre of land, it also can be that also. If I just want to measure this desk, the area of this desk here, so length time width, the area of this desk, the top of the desk, what we think we're going to be using. We got square centimeters. I need everybody typing to make sure they have the answer in. Either square meters or square centimeters is what I'm seeing a lot of the answer for. This has to be square meters. Again, you will kind of look at that using that yardstick again, the meter stick, and say, can I measure the length and width of this desk using a regular yardstick instead of a centimeter, which is really, really small. What if I want to measure the $100 bill? Yeah, this looks a lot better for the answer. Square centimeters. What about a baseball field? Look, those answers look good also. Hectares will be used for this one. If you did put kilometers, it might be a little bit small to drive my car around, but it's possible. But hectares will probably be a little bit more logical answer for this one. And or square meters is probably so square meters and hectares will be acceptable for this one. But then again, if you look at it, if this answer here is square meters, how many tables do you think is going to fill up this baseball field? If I put this table out on this baseball field, how many tables will actually get rid of all this green if I were to use a table? What do y'all think? I think it's more of in the 600 in like Jocelyn said. So if you're talking about using at least 600 to maybe about 900 tables to fill up this table, we're not going to use square meters to measure. We're going to keep it as um, hectares to it'll be an easier measurement to do. A regular TV. Yes, this will be square centimeters. Square meters again, it'll be a little bit too big because the table looks like it's bigger than the TV, so we're not going to measure that. And then this one is a nickel. Correct. So a lot of y'all putting in there square millimeters, which is good. All right, I got some more examples before, but I would definitely want to go over these formulas. Now I put down here on this side, these are formulas that we need to know for the test. Again, if you want to have something off to the side as far as having these formulas, so when you're testing, you'll have access to it and know when to use it and how to use it. What we're going to talk into now is talking about volume. So these are more formulas that you need to know for volume. So volume here I have for a cylinder, we have pi times r squared times h. What does pi mean? Yeah, so pi is usually associated with 3.14, and we always typically have the pi in when there is a circle involved. Anytime there's a circle involved, we know we throw in that pi. What does r stand for? Yes, it does mean yes. Yes, you can if you want to. But just to know that I am recording, so your voice will be on the recording if you would like that. So radius it will be the answer for this one. And can anybody kind of type the definition of radius? What does radius actually mean? What was your definition of radius? And if anybody can guess too, yes, half the diameter. Good job, Corey, on that one part. So anytime you talk about the radius, we'll go from the center of the circle to any outside part of the circle, edge of the circle, will be considered to be the radius. If I go the full length of the circle from end to end, and it must go through the center, then that's talking about diameter. So for this one here, and H stands for height. So the formula for volume is we need to find the area of the base. The base for this is actually going to be either the top or the bottom, however you want to look as far as the bottom of it, the base. Find the area of the base, and then we're going to multiply it by the height of the object. So if I told you for this one here, the radius is 5 and the height is going to be 10, what would be the volume? So if you have your calculators, go ahead and pull that out. Put the problem, put this formula into it, and everybody type in their answer. What do you think the answer is going to be in the chat box? The unit will be helpful too if you can put the unit behind it. I know if y'all, a lot of y'all put in the number, but if you could put the unit behind it also, that will be wonderful, especially when doing the bookwork too. When you upload your bookwork, I'd like to see that unit behind it. So 700 is the right answer, but notice here, when we're talking about volume, you have to know this is always going to be cubed. So let's break it down for each one. If I tell you to find the length of something, just measure the length of your pencil. You just tell me the unit, centimeters, meters, whatever the case would be, if we're just finding the length. So length means just write the unit. Everybody good with that? I hope everybody's writing that down and remember it. If I say area, that's when we're going to square the unit. So we say feet squared, centimeters squared. In that case, anytime it says find the area, then we're going to square the unit. And if I say volume, we're going to cube the unit. So we're going to put a little 3 in the exponent. So a good reason for that is just ask yourself how many things are being multiplied together. How many units? If I square something, isn't that being multiplied 2 times? Like taking 5 times 5 when you square it. So how many is that? That's 2, right? And then if we multiply the h with it, that's how many? 3. So that's why it's cubed. This radius time height. What's the area for a rectangle? Length time what? Length time width. How many things are we multiplying together? Y'all hold up your fingers. 2. So that's why we have area. Area is squared. You doing okay, Jocelyn? Okay. So the next one here, we're gonna find the volume of a rectangular. So go ahead and put that in. If I told you the numbers, let me get rid of this so you can see it. We have 13, 4, and 2. And this one here, the unit is going to be in centimeters also. 13, 4, and 2. Dominique, did you get the understanding of the problem? I see you had a question mark up there. Do you know how we got 708? I mean, 85? Just give me a thumbs up because your microphone's on mute, so I can't hear you. Or thumbs down. Thumbs up, thumbs down if you understand how they got 708. Down, okay. So back to the other problem here, Dominique. We have 3.14 times 5, and then we're going to square it, and then we have 10. So let me quickly put this in. So 3.14 times 5 squared times 10. Are we good now, Dominique? Dominique, turn your microphone on or give me some thumbs up because I cannot hear you. The last one is going to be length times width times multiplying three things together. And we should get 104, which everybody in here did get. So great. So we just multiply all of them together. We know it's going to be cubed because we're multiplying three units together. So this concludes 7.2. So there's a few things I want to go over in Moodle and give you some problems to do. And then for the remaining part in class, you either work on the book work or go to My Math Plus to work on those assignments.